Hello friends, looking at current affairs for 13th June. The news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 11. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, states will have to bear farm loan waivers from their own coffers. Mr. Arun Jaitley, the finance minister, this is the second time the central government is clarifying that farm loan waivers will have to be taken care of by state governments themselves. Center is not going to provide any assistance to them. So this is the statement coming forth. So we have seen yesterday only how the Maharashtra government has announced farm loan waivers to UP government had already promised and said that it would bring in farm loan waivers. So UP government, you can see it will waive off loans, all loans up to rupees 1 lakh. So this will be done. We have seen this in news also 2 days back that after the budget is passed in UP, this would be put into effect. So this will benefit around 7 lakh small and marginal farmers. So this will be around 6,000 crores of non-performing assets of these farmers, which will be settled. Then the Madhya Pradesh government has not acceded to this demand, but they have said that farmers are getting interest-free loans in the state. So 80% farmers in the state get interest-free loans. They don't have to pay interest on the loan. The rest 20% defaulters will also be brought under this category, has been assured by Madhya Pradesh. And Maharashtra has already announced that for small farmers, that is having a land holding up to 5 acres, farm loans have been waived off with immediate effect, and for the rest farmers, the category criteria, how it would be put into effect, will be decided through a committee comprising of farmers' representatives and government officials. So this is the status here. So here you can see the agricultural credit disbursed to various states is also shown here. So here you can see Tamil Nadu with the highest amount of loan. Credit means the amount of loan being provided in various states to agriculture. So this is there. So these farm loan waiver demands which are coming forth now, Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, these are both BJP ruled states. Punjab is Congress ruled and Tamil Nadu is AIDMK ruled state. So central government has clarified that no state will be provided support. The next is speedy NPA resolution through insolvency and bankruptcy code worked on. So Finance Minister Mr. Arun Jaitley has also stated that RBI is in an advanced stage of preparing a list of debtors whose case would be considered for speedy resolution under insolvency and bankruptcy code. So this recent code of 2015, which has been passed by the parliament, is important for speedy resolution of NPAs, non-performing assets of banks. So bulk of the NPAs, around 70% of the NPAs are either in consortium or multiple banking arrangements. Means those companies have taken these loans not just from one bank, from a consortium of banks, a group of banks. So there are multiple banking arrangements. So speedy resolution of this is required. So this is being worked on is stated here. So what is this insolvency and bankruptcy code? You should understand. So code means a law, and insolvency, the term insolvency means that the person is unable to repay the loan. So a person or even a corporation, a person can go insolvent, or even a body, organization can go insolvent. So when you are not able to repay the due, then it's called insolvency. Bankruptcy means when a person declares that he is incapable of paying the due, and as such. So this insolvency and bankruptcy are interrelated, and liquidation is a term which would mean to wind up the corporation or an incorporated entity so that money can be brought out, so that the non-performing assets can be liquidated. So this is called liquidation. So this insolvency and bankruptcy code of 2015, it is applicable to all kinds of enterprises, even limited liability partnership firms, and also individuals. And there are different tribunals. So there is National Company Law Tribunal, which will look into corporate bankruptcy, and Debt Recovery Tribunal, which will look into individual and partnership bankruptcies. So this is the scope. You can see it will look into insolvency, liquidation, voluntary liquidation, and even bankruptcy aspects. So it will try to preserve value by providing linear, time-bound, and collective process. So when an asset gets non-performing, actually it has to be worked on with immediate effect. Otherwise, the assets continuously lose their significance. So their worth is significantly lost over a period of time. So this is the quick resolution process being proposed here under the insolvency and bankruptcy code. So here you can see when default occurs, then there should be an appointment of an insolvency professional, then calm period, moratorium period would be there, and then 75% of creditors, if they approve, then the plan can be put into effect. If no, then it goes into liquidation, a plan to revive as such. So this is there. Then the another statement which is given here is that the RBI has to, if this is going to be put into effect, then these stressed assets will have to be taken care of. So even NIIF, National Investment in Infrastructure Fund, may be roped in to help the banks in this case, in these stressed assets. This is also an indication given by officials here. So what is this NIIF? You should know about. So telecom sector, for example, is one of the stressed assets sector in which stressed assets are present, non-performing assets are present. So this will also be taking assistance, because NIIF is related to infrastructure and telecom is infrastructure sector. So this NIIF has been formed by the government with contribution from government up to 20,000 crore rupees, and another amount will come from the private sector. And even here, less than 50% stake will be with the government. So like 49 or so that it has a private sector character. So this NIIF has been formed, which will be a fund of funds. So this will be providing fund to various funds which will attract investment. So this is the idea. The multiplier effect is to be encashed on through this NIIF is what is proposed. So here the detail is also provided, you can see. So the objective is to maximize economic impact through infrastructure development. So this is National Investment in Infrastructure Fund. So a fund of funds would be established. Then next is Modi to meet Trump in no-frills visit. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting USA, his first visit after US President Donald Trump has come to power. So this is scheduled for June 26. It will be a no-frills visit, means there will be no, it's a business only visit, in the sense that there will be no diaspora meets which would be held as such, which generally have been there when Prime Minister Narendra Modi has visited USA. So this will be business only, not diluting the meet between the two leaders as such. And the issues which are there, so issues we have seen the visa issue, which has been raised by India quite often. Then even presently, the latest thing being that US President Donald Trump has reneged Paris Climate Agreement, and he has blamed India and China for taking advantage, undue advantage under these agreements, that they are being favored significantly. So these such accusations are also there. Plus also the trade surplus which India has with USA is not to the liking of US. So America first policy of USA and Make in India policy of Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India are in conflict actually. So we'll see what steps would be taken, how the things would go ahead. Even intellectual property related disputes are also there. Then next is Enforcement Directorate attaches immovable property under Ponzi scam. So this Ponzi scam, what is it? You should know about. So this Enforcement Directorate has attached the immovable property of one entity, but this particular news is not important. But this is a multi-crore Ponzi scam. So what is a Ponzi scam? You can see here. This is regarding the Enforcement Directorate. So Enforcement Directorate has the power to attach properties in case, and launch prosecutions in special courts in cases of money laundering, etc. So such steps have been taken. So this Ponzi scheme is named after Charles Ponzi. So he was one who duped thousands of Americans by investing, asking them to invest in postage stamp scheme in 1920. So this scheme, the type of scheme, the plan which he had put into effect, when such plans are put into effect, they are called Ponzi schemes, named after him, Charles Ponzi. So what this Ponzi scheme basically does, it's an investment scheme. So it lures investors that you invest in this scheme and they assure very high profits. So, your amount will get double, or you will get 50% of the amount back in a month or something. So these schemes are very luring. So then investors, when they invest in it, they do get the returns also initially. So then it spreads. The investment scheme spreads. Many people invest. The people who have got good returns invest more and more amount into it, having faith in the scheme. So then the amount of money accumulated on the scheme is quite high. And this scheme, actually the amount collected is not being used for some business entity where profits are coming and that profits is distributed amongst the investors. That is not the case. The investors are being repaid. The payment which has been done, the profits which are given to them are actually the money which has been taken from other investors. So the same money is recirculated here initially. When a huge amount of money is accumulated here, the scheme, the person who is running the scheme, he would run away with all the money. The Ponzi scheme collapses. So such schemes these are scams. So this is the term which is used, you should know of. Then next is panel to study free movement along Myanmar border. So Home Minister Mr. Rajnath Singh has again raised this issue of free movement along Myanmar border. He says that Myanmar is a friendly country. We do not have fencing across the border, so it's unhindered movement across the borders which is allowed for people, but then this is being misused as such by infiltrators and militants. So trans-border criminals smuggle weapons, goods, fake currency notes to across this border. So there's a need to regulate here, and this is the second time that it has announced that a committee would be set up to look into the matter. So whether the present rules and regulations implementing free movement regime has to be re-examined as such too. So earlier a committee had been set up by the present government only in 2015, was headed by Joint Intelligence Committee Chief R.N. Ravi. So this committee had given its suggestions also, and it suggested that the misnomer which is there related to free border movement has to change, and the government has to replicate the model prevalent in villages and areas across Bangladesh border. So across Bangladesh border, there are dedicated crossing points in border villages where policemen in charge are regulating the movement of people. So such steps have to be taken with Myanmar also was suggested. But now another committee has been set up. Of course, that has not been put into effect. So now we'll again look into this matter. So this is an issue, India-Myanmar border issue, which has been raised as such. So here you can see India-Myanmar border is with the 4 northeastern states of India. So Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh share boundary with Myanmar. So this is also important. Then next is Judge C.S. Karnan retires today. So we have been discussing Justice C.S. Karnan for long. He's a controversial Kolkata High Court judge against whom contempt of court proceedings were initiated by the Supreme Court. A seven-judge bench was hearing the matter. First time that a sitting judge was being prosecuted for contempt of court. He had written a scurrilous letter to the Prime Minister accusing various retired and sitting Supreme Court and High Court judges of corruption. So this contempt of court proceedings for undermining the judiciary was initiated against him, though he had been evasive. Even arrest orders had been issued by the Supreme Court, but he has been evading arrest, and now it's for his last day as a judge. He is retiring after achieving 62 years of age. So that is the retirement age of High Court judges. So he has turned 62, but then he did not come, and his whereabouts are not known as such, and he's not been arrested too. But the term ends, he is no longer a sitting judge. The next is fishermen deaths raise questions over who enforces the law of seas. So this is an incident which took place on Sunday, 11th June. So 2 Indian fishermen were killed when a Panama flagged bulky cargo vessel rammed into their fishing boat off Kochi coast. So here now the question of jurisdiction and investigation and prosecution is going on. So this has taken place around 30 nautical miles northwest of Kochi coast. So you should know about the nautical miles too. So this is the distance calculation, and under UN Convention on Law of the Sea, this is how the water body is defined. So this territorial water is up to 12 nautical miles from the coast. So this is territorial water. So here the complete control is there with the government. You can easily prosecute any action which happens, any incident which happens in territorial waters. Then comes the contiguous zone up to 24 nautical miles. Here too the government has rights but limited rights. And then comes the exclusive economic zone up to 200 nautical miles. So this you can see beyond territorial waters, this 200 nautical miles. This exclusive economic zone basically is where you can explore resources here. So this is where the incident has taken place. So now what power would the government have over this is been looked into. But after the last incident which has taken place, this Enrica Lexi incident which took place 5 years ago, the government has modified Indian Maritime Zone Act of 1976. So now measures have been taken extending the rights of selected police stations beyond the 12 nautical miles up to 200 nautical miles. So they have the jurisdiction here. So Kochi Fort Police Station also has the jurisdiction in this case, and they have detained the ship and the crew here. There are 28 crew members who have been detained and investigation is going on. So this is there. Then the next news item is CPI inflation slows to lowest since 2012. So the consumer price index, which is used to measure retail inflation, the figure for May 2017, it has gone down to 2.18%. So this is the lowest ever since the center began measuring it on a nationwide basis since 2012. The last lowest was for the last month. So for CPI for April 2017 was 2.99%. Now it has dipped further low. If you look at SBI report, then in it states that this is going to go further down in the next 2 months. So CPI is expected to be sub 2% for the next 2 months before it moves up. And then by November 2017, by that time it will stay at 4%. So this is being stated here too. So the reason is that now we have seen when inflation levels are low, then RBI is also expected to reduce repo rate. Repo rate cut was expected, but that was not done because inflation levels are low presently, but then there are expectations that it may rise because there are three major factors which may contribute to it. One is that the house rent component in CPI has increased. Then another is implementation of GST. So this will also result in inflationary consequences, plus also the farm loan waivers which are being provided by states. So this will also result in inflation levels going high. Plus even the monsoons are going to be good this season as has been predicted by Indian Meteorological Department too. So this will also result in inflation coming back at higher levels. So that is why RBI said that they don't want to take an action before, not too early. So then they would lose their credibility. So that was the statement given in the last monetary policy review too. So this is what is we are seeing, that even SBI is stating on the similar lines that this is expected to go low and then rise when monsoon, when harvesting takes place after 2 months or so. So by October then the inflation levels will start rising. Then another is regarding IIP2. So index of industrial production, in this this has gone high. The manufacturing sector is raising the IIP rates, and this is also spurred by tobacco and pharmaceutical sector. This is growing the fastest. So consumer durables also have drastically contracted. So that is the inflation we are seeing when inflation levels are low. So people don't have enough money in their hands to spend on consumer durables. So rural consumer demand has gone quite low. So that rural consumption going low will result in consumer durables segment contracting, and also growth rate in capital goods has also gone negative. Then next is center seeks to defer e-way bill. So this e-way bill is an electronic way bill. So this has to be pre-generated, pre-registered online for goods under GST above rupees 50,000 which are to be moved. So whenever there is a movement of goods above rupees 50,000, then this pre-registration online has to be done. A e-way bill has to be generated, and all three entities would be involved here: the supplier, the person who will receive this consignment, plus also the transporter. So this e-way bill system is essential for GST implementation, but the center has said that they are not ready with this e-way bill. So the provisions have not, the software, the system is not yet ready to implement it online. So that is why the center has deferred the implementation of e-way bill, but the states are insisting that no, e-way bills have to be put into effect from 1st July when GST is being put into effect. So that is why now government is considering even roping in NIC, National Informatics Center, so whether it can bring this e-way bill as provision under the GST network from on a short-term basis as such, so that it's effective from 1st July. So we'll have to wait and watch if this is possible or not. Otherwise, e-way bill system will have to, its implementation will have to be postponed. So here the details are given, you can see. So for goods more than 50,000, it is mandatory that e-way bill has to be generated. So here you can see. So whenever it is on the way, this bill will be generated. So supplier, transporter, recipient, all three are involved. So whenever there is an inspection which is required, it can be seen through the e-way bill what consignment is moving, transportation is taking place, and where is it reaching. So here then after it is received, the e-way bill can be completed and submitted. Then next is 3 new sites recognized as biodiversity hotspots in Goa. So BirdLife International, which is a conservation organization formed in 1922. So it's a global partnership of conservation organizations that strives to conserve birds, the habitats of these birds, and even global biodiversity. So this organization is called the world's largest partnership of conservation organizations. It has over 120 partner organizations. It is also the official red list authority under IUCN for birds. So this is there. So this BirdLife International presently has recognized 3 new sites in Goa as biodiversity hotspots for birds, and this makes the number of sites in Goa reaching 7. So there are 7 important biodiversity areas recognized by BirdLife now, and this are being mentioned here. So you can see these are the 7 regions. The important ones already recognized are Bhagwan Mahavir, Mollem, and now the 3 new recognized are Bondla, Navelim, and Netravali. So at least Bhagwan Mahavir, Mollem, and Bondla wildlife sanctuaries are and national parks are quite famous here. So you should know about them. But another important point which is there is that when a site is declared as important bird and biodiversity area by BirdLife International, it does not mean that it gets automatic legal protection or becomes inaccessible to people. It would be the government which will have to make provisions for that. So that is there. And the last news item is harnessing the solar spectrum. So this is a study led by Mr. Rakesh Agarwal, who is a professor in a university in US. So he says, this study says that sunlight spectrum has to be completely utilized, because sunlight can be used for 3 specific purposes. One is it is used for crop production. Production of crops means for photosynthesis. So in agricultural field, sunlight is important. It is used with photovoltaic cells, even generation of energy, electricity is possible, and with the heat generated, even clean water can be provided for. So all these 3 can be used on one land area only. What is presently seen is that sunlight is used in a particular region only for a particular purpose. So when you have these photovoltaic system in place, then the traditional ones actually result in shadow falling on the crops if they are used together. So then the sunlight does not reach there and crops cannot be, getting the sunlight. So what has been developed here is a photovoltaic panel which has been designed in such a way that the transmitted photons which are responsible for plant growth also take place, and the remaining photons which are there are reflected in the solar spectrum. So the solar cells design, they generate electricity there, and then the heat as such is also collected for energy recovery and even water purification. So all 3 together can take place in a particular design. So this is the new proposed photovoltaic design under this study. So here you can see these are the solar panels which you must have seen. So solar panels as such are made of these solar modules. So in each of these solar modules is a solar cell, the photovoltaic cell which is there. So solar panels also, a large number of them form a solar array. So this is there. So these traditional ones does not allow sunlight to pass through, the photons to pass through, but these new designs will provide for it. So these are the news items. Thank you.